Howdy Coaster Junkies, this is Dopamine Coasters, and today's video is going to be another one of my collabs. For this one, me and SkyGuyR12Turn are going to explain a pretty hot take and our experience with this issue about a certain manufacturer that gets a lot of praise. In fact, coaster enthusiasts may say that this is the best part about the manufacturer. And that makes us downright angry. It's why we think B&Ms are such unreliable pieces of crap. I feel very happy I found somebody who agrees with me here, and on top of that, we may include a few rants here. Please don't take this video too seriously. This is our opinion and you have yours. So without further ado, let's get into it. Don't even get me started with how many parks I've been to and had a B&M break down, close for the day, or stay closed for multiple days either due to mechanical issues or the need for a new part. The latter is a common issue I've seen with so many B&Ms, which should also add to our point about how their rides are unreliable and need constant maintenance. Let's start with Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I've been to this park on 4 separate days, and on every single day I've been to the park, here's the pattern that I've seen. The ride opens up with the park, and runs for about 30 minutes in the morning, and then after 30 minutes the ride goes down for technical difficulties, usually while getting stuck on the lift hill. Riders end up needed to be evacuated, and then the ride stays down for hours on end, and usually only goes back up around 2 or 3 p.m. And yes, this exact same pattern occurred all 4 separate visits I visited BGW. And during all the times Apollo was down, Pantheon was running. But granted, Pantheon probably breaks down as much, or if not more than Apollo during other times, so I guess that's not as fair of a comparison. Here's another B&M hyper known for its extreme unreliability. In fact, I can even consider this one of the most unreliable B&Ms in existence. This is Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure. I cannot even say how many times Nitro has been opening and closing on and off in the past few years. In 2020, Nitro was shut down by the state for days on end due to problems with the lift motor, which is a problem that so many B&M roller coasters encounter, which theoretically shouldn't be happening if B&M was actually the most reliable coaster manufacturer, just like everyone says it is. After the ride was shut down for days due to the lift motor, it opened back up, and just about right after it opened to the public, a guest reported that one of the restraints came loose during the ride. Now, there is no proof that something like that actually happened, and it's very unlikely that it happened the exact same way the guest said that it did. But the fact that it had shut down for multiple days, opened back up, and then shut down again for multiple days on end, shows that the ride is not acting in its best shape. Fast forward to 2022, and Nitro had to stay closed for almost a month during the summer, due to, again, problems with the lift motor. Great Adventure needed to custom order a new lift motor because maintenance was unable to fix the issue. Fast forward to 2023, and Nitro was closed for the beginning of the season, and still keeps operating on and off this year with lots of breakdowns. I've heard of several days this year where Nitro was closed with no explanation. If B&M actually wants to look to themselves like they are the most reliable manufacturer on the market, they should not use Nitro as an example of that. Also, I haven't been to Six Flags Magic Mountain recently, but do any of you know what exactly is the story with Tatsu? I see so many comments on YouTube, park reviews, and posts on Reddit saying that Tatsu often breaks down all day and has repeated breakdowns and closures throughout the day. All I can speak for is my experience back in 2018, where the ride was open for the first 2 hours of the day, shut down for 6 hours during the day, and only opened an hour before the park closed. Luckily, I got to catch a ride on it during that time period. But the breakdowns on this coaster seem worse than most Intamin coasters. Also, Valravn at Cedar Point. When I went to Cedar Point during the summer of last year, every single ride broke down at some point during the day, because that's just what happens a lot at that park, but Valravn was down all day both days I visited, and apparently, it was also down for most of that month. This was because they were waiting for a new part. I gotta say, what is up with all these B&Ms needing new parts all the time? If the manufacturer was reliable in the first place, then why do so many parts on the rides break down all the time, causing the parks to need to order new ones every couple of months? Anyways, when Valravn eventually opened back up, it had lots of issues with the lift chain in charge of holding the train in front of the drop, that it kept opening and closing on and off for a while after. B&M downtime. This happened to Pandemonium last year where it was closed for a lot of Christmas Candy Lane because it was waiting on a new part. Also, Dominator was down all day when I went to King's Dominion during Haunt, and I saw from a vlog that it was also down the next day too. And last but not least is Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. What's the deal with all these Cedar Fair B&Ms? I'm sure most of you know this already, but in summer of 2020, Gatekeeper's chain snapped. But how? How can such a strong and supposedly proper design of a chain fail like that? I've never heard of any other major coaster undergoing such a major chain snap like that. I've heard of a lot of cable snaps like on I-305 and Top Thrill Dragster, but not a regular lift chain snap. I can't even imagine how embarrassing this was on B&M's part, and Cedar Fair still doesn't get it, and still works with B&M over and over again, thinking that they are the most reliable manufacturer. This makes me think about what would happen if B&M trusted themselves with the cable lift. That would be absolutely awful. If B&M coasters with a design that include regular lifts and drops still suffer from unreliability and accidents, then I can't imagine how awful their reliability would be with something like a cable lift. And also, I predict the Pipeline, the surf coaster opening at SeaWorld Orlando in 2023, is going to have major downtime due to the fact that this is B&M's first attempt at an LSM launch. Unless they did go with a separate vendor for the launch, but I haven't heard anything about that. B&M's reputation within the coaster community is that it's known for great capacity and reliability. I agree with the first part, but reliability, how did everyone come up with that, despite everything regarding all the B&Ms I just listed, and also everything my friend Riley from SkyGuyR12Turn is about to say? SkyGuy, why is it not true that B&Ms are the most reliable manufacturer?
Okay, now it's my turn. Now I'm not going to go so in-depth about these coasters, but I'll try to explain as clear as much as I can to make you guys understand. These coasters won't be in any particular order, but I'll have you know that there are over 5 coasters I'll talk about. Anyways, I'll start with the 2 B&Ms at my home away from home. One of them is Great Bear. This coaster doesn't operate during Hershey Park's Christmas event, which indicates a closed B&M. Now I know you're telling me, Sky Guy, that's a stupid reason. Quite a few B&Ms closed during the days approaching the off-season. But hold on. That's not only though. On Hershey Park's opening day of the 2023 season, me and Dopamine Coasters noticed Great Bear was closed the entire day and didn't open till the day I got the first ride of the season on it. Now that's something you wouldn't call typical with B&Ms, and I have no idea why a B&M would go into a status like that. And even before that, it was testing for over a day plus a little over 2 hours after the park opened for the day. Next, there's Pandemonium, which I'd say is the more reliable of the 2 B&Ms at the park, but I've seen it on days where it was closed for it, including a period of time where Pandemonium suffered downtime going into the 2022 season's Christmas event. But I can explain more. At a day at Hershey Park in 2021, I had to wait in one of the longest waits I've ever waited for a coaster when Pandemonium was having trouble opening for at least almost an hour because, I don't know. But what I did see was dark clouds of that time. So maybe it closes every time it rains, but here's another question for you. Do most B&Ms do? Then, when I visited Six Flags Great Adventure for the purpose of riding the world's tallest coaster, I noticed Batman the ride was closed. Granted, I was there on a sunny day, but I have no idea why a B&M would suddenly do that. And then there was Gatekeeper, which was closed for my entire visit at Cedar Point. And keep in mind that I was there for no joke, 5 days. Now you may be thinking it was because of that accident it underwent in June, and you're right, but it's still a closed B&M and this is no excuse. Now I'm starting to come up with more questions as I go on, like how often does a B&M close because of an accident? Is it really that rare? Now, these next 2 B&Ms I'm going to talk about are more than worth bringing up. Because, not just because they are B&Ms, but because these 2 closures really took points off of my day visiting the park. Starting with Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. Yup, you heard me correctly. A B&M Giga, that's the park's star attraction, that was closed for my entire stay at the park. What a pain in the ass that was. Now, I've heard it was closed for a couple days because something was wrong with the lift hill. My friend Parker clarified that to me. But you should know how much it sucks to have the park's star attraction closed for the entire day you visited the park. Canada's Wonderland is filled with quantity over quality coasters, and my day obviously would have been better if Leviathan was open, waiting for me to ride it. But nope! Just Why do you call B&Ms extremely reliable? We don't get it. Just think, guys. Please think about at least one B&M that you couldn't ride because it was closed. I really have no idea how your luck went with that. And that's not even to mention the last time I've ever came across a closed B&M that I'm going to talk about. And let me say that I saved the worst for last, at least to me. On July 15th, 2020, I took a trip to the first new park I went to as a coaster enthusiast, Dorney Park. Out of all the coasters there, I was most looking forward to riding Talon because back then, I've never ridden anything like it. It was originally going to be my first inverted coaster, and when me and the others got past the front gate, you bet I ran my ass over to Talon. I was really eager to ride it as I was in line, but then, minutes later, guess what? It broke down, and never reopened for the day. This ruined my day at Dorney Park and is one of the biggest reasons why I hate this park to this day. What's even worse is that I had my sister, her friend, and my friend I invited to the park as well, so it was over double the disappointment. Even after I returned to Dorney Park in 2021 and rode Talon at that time, I call it super overrated, and it's one of the coasters I actually have a grudge against. I can't believe this happened to me, and instead, my first inverted coaster turned out to be Batman the Ride at Six Flags Great Adventure. Well, that's my experience with closed B&Ms. What about you? Do you think B&Ms are unreliable like we do? I'd love it if you let us know we think so in the comments. Yeah, it's been very fun doing a collab with somebody for one of my first times, and I'm glad I picked you, Dopamine Coasters. I thoroughly enjoyed ranting about the world's most overrated coaster manufacturer and can't wait to find somebody else who agrees with us. Please let us know in the comments if you're one of those somebodies. That'll make our days. So thanks for having me on, Dopamine Coasters, and as always, enjoy your 205-foot drop on Sky Rush.